the millennials that are Gen Zs are here. They're called zillennials or something. I don't know. If anyone is an expert in the slang, you can tell me. But these guys have started sort of a movement where they are questioning, with some Christian pastors. I'm not saying all of them, saying, hiyo 500 unaniletea nitafanya nini nayo. People have become very skeptic of modern preachers and stuff like that. And we are not against religion. It's just that there's that conversation of people thinking, is this the only option that we have? And the discussion on African spirituality is telling you guys there's another alternative. There's some bits of our history that were erased, some bits of our history that were forgotten, and we can look into that and see if there's a positive aspect of it, right? And we can embrace that. And I want to thank, I see Mugambi is here. Shout out to my guy Mugambi. I want to recognize everyone that has turned up for the screening. Thank you very much for taking your time to come at such an hour. I also want to thank, in absentia, Professor David G. Mailu, who is a friend of mine. I didn't mention my name. I'm Henry Mwangangi. I'm the guy with the big voice but a very small body. So I'm the one that was narrating the documentary. So I want to thank Professor David G. Mailu. He couldn't make it. Very fascinating guy, well-read, well-written. Also, Dr. Sylvester Anami, other friend of mine. Dr. Wangari as well, and the guys that helped me produce this. And Matheu Muthui. I also want to thank everyone. Yes? Someone say something. Okay. We are going now to have like the panel discussion, and we are live on YouTube at Karakana Online TV. This session will be open to everyone. Feel free to ask questions. If there's an expert, feel free to talk about the topic. Yeah, you can raise your question. I know there are a few concepts that have been talked about that you guys have questions about, like who is a diviner, right? So, who is a diviner? Who is a witch? Who is a sorcerer? What's the difference between a witch and a sorcerer and a diviner? So perhaps, before we even divulge into that, you guys can tell us if you've maybe learned anything from the short documentary. We'll start anyway. Yeah, please, by all means.
Hi, thank you for that. And no, I don't think it's enough. Oh my God. Sawa. Hi, my name is Acheng. Thank you for screening this. I think it's really bold to have such conversations in these times, because I feel like we are becoming a very conservative and hyper-religious nation. My question is, there's something that one of the speakers said, the other one who's not Professor Wangari, Dr. Mailu.
Dr. Anami, yes.
Dr. Anambi. He said that one of his hopes is to bring us to a point where we can practice good witchcraft. Looking at the condition of things, I think trying to dissect the good and the bad when we're not practicing any of it is a bit restrictive. So maybe a question to the audience, or anyone who can answer this, how can we get from not practicing at all or practicing it in secret to now just coming to practicing good witchcraft when it's not in practice?
Interesting question. There's another mic, so you guys.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Firstly, thank you very much for the documentary. I attended the screening courtesy of Dr. Wangari. We share a certain platform together, and I saw her sharing the Instagram link. I actually followed you.
Thank you.
So I'll be very much keen. And the first time I heard about this lecture from Professor Mailu, I read it from an article, and I think it was on Royal Media Services. And as Professor Mailo was saying, I know much of him when he was a doctor. We were saying that people, especially from Kitui, are perceived to be knowing a lot of witchcraft. I actually come from Kitui. Yeah, so I have seen a little and heard a lot about witchcraft. And I have also read many articles about Africanity and culture. And one of the outstanding insights I got from one of the articles is that actually Africa is filled with a lot of undiscovered, fascinating history and culture. And there was a debate as to whether really colonization changed our culture or instilled fear for our culture and who we are. So the first thing I did when I saw that article from Prof, and you know, of course, news editors will bring a story not the way it was delivered, because I have established some questions I raise in my article. I have a blog where I write articles about society. It's called Moema Action Posts. From my name, Moema Action, because I talk about, I don't just write, I talk about what we should do about things. So the first thing I took on my blog and wrote a lot about what I think about witchcraft. And one of the things, it's a question I pose to think about is whether the difference between witchcraft and herbalism. There's a difference between two of them. One is known to be very destructive, because if now we get into a deeper conversation together, I can get to give you my perspective about how destructive I've seen witchcraft be. And there is herbalism, which is very good. Some people are born with a talent of identifying, this can do this. Your bone is aching, so you can do 1, 2, 3. So there's a difference between, I would opine that, witchcraft and herbalism. Secondly, is that, and thank you for raising that concern to, was it Dr. Anami?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Anna, from my view of his presentation, he speaks with a lot of reality and a lot of physicality about witchcraft and African spiritualism, which, in my opinion, African spiritualism and witchcraft cannot be addressed with physical knowledge. It is difficult to establish, to say, we are now going to start a class about witchcraft and learn it. I don't think if that's possible, because witchcraft and spiritualism, from the best of my knowledge, is sometimes even inherited. And the power and the potential and the ability a person can do is never about themselves. If somebody, for example, is a healer, chances are that a older person is existing in them as a spirit. That is the person who Professor Mailu says was showing his sister. So the sister was being shown by somebody they don't know. So I believe if we really would like to get into African spiritualism, we need to move from the syllabus into getting to our ancestral lineage, and there is actually possible to be good and bad witchcraft. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I am an enthusiastic thinker, writer. I can talk on and on. And you know, these matters are very controversial sometimes. So thank you very much. That is my feedback about the screening. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about the bad witchcraft, which you know from TV?
Yeah, bad witchcraft. Actually, I would also encourage you to check on my blog. I have highlighted some of the things there, because even the generation we are today, the people who finished from 4 with, some proceeded to college, others to the university. If you go to my village today, you'll find less than 5 of them. Some of the reasons are, some people have gone to towns and become successful, and they don't want to go back to the village because they are afraid they would be looked with bad eyes. Yeah, people, today when people give birth to children, there are some people they don't want to invite them to their homes because this person is a witch. That is why being a witch is actually very risky today. You've heard of cases where whole people are being burnt because they are witches. And many people dispute if witchcraft exists. Witchcraft really does exist. You go to places in Mwingi, in Kitui, and you cannot pluck, there's that behavior of plucking the branch of a tree and brushing your teeth with it. Okay? If you do that in Mwingi, parts of Mwingi and deep Kitui North, some things might happen to you. You don't just eat any tree, okay? You might get into a baobab tree which has refused to grow. Very short one, it has existed for years, but it doesn't grow because of the things that have been planted down where it stands. Yeah? Some of the bad things about witchcraft is people have been, there are people who are in alcohol addiction because they were bewitched to do that. There are people who cannot marry. Somebody bewitched them such that they cannot retain a relationship. These things you see as memes are not jokes, by the way. There are some things which are real, such that you cannot, yeah.
This, these people who do this thing, were they born with it, or are they taught? Because the good and the bad, I think it comes from a place, right? Like, did the people know them? Did they grow up with this bad witching, or how do they learn it? Or the good witch, do they know about this bad witching, how they got it?
Well, firstly,
so you understand me?
Firstly, I understand it. Firstly, in my view, there is no good witchcraft. In my view.
Maybe I can answer him because I also come from Kitui, Mwingi. Actually,
Yeah.
I come from Sekuru,
Yeah.
which is like the deepest part of Kitui County.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. But it's a question of morality, good and bad. It doesn't exist in African spirituality only. Even in Christianity, Kenya is 86% Christian. Yeah. There are people in jail. When you ask them, are you Christian? They say yes. Right? That's a bad person, but a Christian as well.
True.
In African spirituality, and I attended the lecture, there are good witches, there are bad witches. Because witchcraft, what is called witchcraft, is someone that has like a hidden knowledge. They can use it to do good or bad. So, for instance, in Nigerian JK, and if there are Meru people here, they'll correct me. They know that they use crocodile bile when they're taking oath. So a pinch of like crocodile bile can kill someone in an instant.
Yeah.
But people will say it's witchcraft because what they'll do, they'll put it in a concoction of some maybe porridge, and then it's put down there in the calabash, and then they already suspect someone for theft. So the elders will sit down and they already have a suspect. So when they're sipping, they'll sip the pure stuff. But when it gets to that person, the elder seated next to the suspect will stir the calabash and then give the concoction to that person. It was used, the bad aspects of that kind of witchcraft was used to scare people. But there are people that misused the powers, yeah? So, and what we learn from, like, witchcraft, people have to use something to harm you. Even those ones that have, like, metaphysical powers, they either use food, so you're told, do not eat at your neighbor's place, or do not, mingle with people you don't know. So our documentary was not trying to push for anything. It's if there's a positive side of this thing, let's research into that. Let's have scientists instead of like you've seen people steal TVs and the TVs stick on their yeah.
Sure.
You've seen the Kitengela story of bees. Although some will argue that they had like the mother bee or something, and that the soldiers came. But there are people that have these powers. So why not use that? While we are praying, let's consult a sangoma or something. On a light note, though, someone's hand was up there. Probably. Okay. Let me.
Okay. Fine. Maybe I can answer him, and then I take my seat. My last view and response to your question is one. The reason why there is a witch doctor is because there is a witch. From my observation, all witches and wizards do bad things. The only people who have the power to do good and bad at the same time are witch doctors. A witch doctor can bewitch and treat. That's number one. Number two, how do these people get witchcraft? There are some times when people inherit witchcraft, which is passed from a relative to you, and there are some times when people buy witchcraft. You go to a shop, not a shop, you go to a place where somebody is selling witchcraft, they sell it to you, you practice. There are people who are born with the ability to be witch doctors. You are born and you start exhibiting some behavior of an older person or some weird behavior. You are then taken to an expert who then identifies that this one is going to become a witch doctor. So you are prepared early to become a witch doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, this discussion is getting hot. I'm about to take my jacket off.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Derek Ibalai. I'm a visual artist and finally a student landscape architecture. So just last week, I have a podcast, The Priming on Spotify. And last week I was talking about African spirituality based on a piece that I did that's showing here. So my question to anyone who's an expert in these kind of things is, from the documentary, by the way, thanks a lot for the documentary. From the documentary, you've seen that there's a conversation that has started that I think we're ready for. Something on incorporating African spirituality with our modern day practices, our religions that we have currently. So I think the direction we're supposed to take on that is like to isolate ourselves from the situation and look at it from the third person. Because you mentioned that we can get scientists to do research on the whole thing and understand it. So will it still work if we do that? Because it's something of the metaphysical that we don't have control of how it happens. So will it still work the same way it works if we go in and work on it surgically? And also, I don't like the word witchcraft. I think maybe we should find another word for it, because witchcraft kind of demonizes the whole thing. Yeah, thank you.
Why don't you do your definitions, the one that you are giving us? Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I have to. My mic is not.
Here.
You said that the term witchcraft has like a bad connotation to it. It's true, and yeah, I'm coming next to you, please. I want to do a few definition of terms so that we understand what we are talking about. You look very familiar, Vanessa. Yeah. How are you? So the term which, and you'll excuse me, people will say, but you're using the colonizers' language to define these terms. It's because what happened. It is what it is. I'm already learned. I can't, go back to, and also for the sake of, understanding each other, we come from different backgrounds. But the term witchcraft here has been demonized over time, such that it leaves a bad taste when people say witchcraft. No, people, like I started when I was doing the documentary, witchcraft. So there are a few aspects of the African tradition that I think we've combined them together and called them witchcraft and witches. Such that my grandmother, who was a diviner, by the way, she gave me this you see on my face, she knew a lot of traditional herbal medicines. Like there's a plant called ngondu. You go dig the roots from it, you boil, and you treat a baby and the baby gets well. So the scientific community needs to do some research, because there's some diseases that do not have cure, but we hear that there are people that have knowledge of science. But because these people have been demonized in the village, Huko, they've not been given the platform, they're even getting banned, we are losing as mankind, right? It's not just about Africans as a, as a race, it's about the entire human race. So let me put into perspective of what some of these terms mean traditionally, and then we can go into discussion. First, we have a diviner. A diviner, according to experts or ChatGPT, I'm joking. A diviner is someone who possesses the ability to gain insights into a situation or predict the future, right? This they do through some, like, casting bones, interpreting patterns in sand or in water. So my grandmother had, I grew up with my grandmother, by the way. It's, maybe I have cognitive dissonance, but she had like things called mbo, and those are like beads, and she used to, cast them and then read the patterns and say, your child is suffering from this, you need to take this plant and this other plant. So that's a diviner. She didn't kill anyone. And I was very sad when my parents converted to Christianity and then demonized this woman and banned her tools of work. Then we have a witch doctor, right? And I like what you said. A witch doctor exists because witches exist. So to counter, they have like sort of like a superhero with more powers than a witch. So what they do is they can counter effect what the witch has done. By definition, it's used interchangeably with medicine man or healer. So you hear people saying, I'm going to consult a witch doctor. You guys, I know you guys are shy about the subject, but if you ask even most politicians, it was here, that one went to a witch doctor. That's how he became the governor of so-and-so county. So if these things have been done in secret, what harm is there in like seeing if it's possible to explore them in the open world? I mean, the other one is a medicine man, who is someone that has that knowledge of herbal medicines. So they will tell you, if you're ailing from malaria, you need to dig, like Shakespeare says in the poem. You guys read poetry. So there's a poem by Shakespeare called The Witch's Chant from Macbeth. He says, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cold and bubble. And mentions a lot of things there, eye of mute, whatever. So there are people that had that knowledge of what you need to boil and what you need to bake, what you need to chew, what you need to swallow. Those are medicine men. In modern day, they are called doctors and clinical medicines. In the same way, a medicine man could use the roots to harm you. A doctor can prescribe a wrong thing, and you end up being done surgery for the wrong part. That's the bad witchcraft. The other one is good witchcraft. So we have seers, people who predict the future, sages, very old mzees with a lot of knowledge, and witch doctors, again, like I mentioned. Yeah, but all these people have been combined together and called witches, which is very wrong. And that's why the conversation is happening today. Yes?
Hi, everyone. I don't know if this is working. Please use mic. Oh, okay. So my name is Neha. I'm a healer. And I also teach something called spiritual political philosophy. So I teach the theory and practice of the spiritual in order to transform the physical world. One of the things that I wanted to maybe, because speaking to everybody's kind of questions, the witch, we need to understand where the word witch comes from. So witch actually comes from an English tradition, or in a British tradition, you can say from the Isles, the English Isles. And it comes from the word Wicca. And Wicca means wisdom. That's what it means. So the witches were the keepers of wisdom. And it was at a certain time in history where this word was now associated with the negative use of spiritual power. So even the fact that you're using the word witch is gonna, because it has been, the meaning has been changed. The meaning that it's now used, or popularly used, let's say, is to talk about people who use spiritual power for negative purposes. Okay? And so I think it might be interesting to maybe move away from the word witch, because it's not an indigenous term anyways. It's referring to a tradition that is outside of Africa. And maybe to start using these kind of words like diviner, seer, or even using the African or whatever the dialect is to define, you know? Because I think that can take you a little bit further. And also to say that, you know, spirituality is, you know, many, many traditions. Actually, every single culture and lineage and history is going to have its own discourse on spirituality. And that's why I'm so happy that you guys use the word African spirituality to then introduce witchcraft, because they are the same thing, but of course, just like in business, just like in teaching, just like in, you know, in any industry, you're going to have people who practice it for positive purposes and people who use the knowledge for negative purposes. People who use it wisely, people who use it carelessly, people who are more steeped in knowledge and their own inner practice, people who are doing it without their own personal practice, you know. So I just think that maybe it's, if we talk about spirituality, I think it's a much better word than witchcraft.
I agree. I agree. Thank you very much. She might stone me.
Hi, my name is Nzasu, and I'm a healing artist. I hope you can hear me. I just wanted to reverberate actually what she just said. So, a witch is a Greek word. That's where it comes from, and it means a wise woman, right? So, if you are a wise woman and you pass on this information to a person who is not perhaps wise, they're going to use this to do good or to do bad, whichever way. Anyway, so the next thing I wanted to say is that we all have the potential to do good or bad, regardless, whatever your profession is, whether you're a lawyer, doctor, etc. So if you're doing bad, for example, I work for a corporation that harms planet Earth, produces plastic, etc. How am I any better than the witch, right? So yeah, so these diviners, the healers, spiritual people, they're just like us. They just have a different gift. And I'm one of those people. I'm from Kitui.
Oh, hi, homie. Nice. We're still on the subject.
Hi guys, my name is Kibenji. I'm from Meru, and around sometime in January, I figured out I should go back to my roots and research on the witchcraft and traditional healing. So, and I went back to my roots and researched a lot on it. I also happen to have read a book from the 1970s from a certain American researcher who went to Meru and interviewed, let's say, witches and witch doctors. So the Meru traditional spirituality consists of three characters. There is the so-called witch, which in Meru is Morogi, and then the witch doctor is Moga, and then there's a third one called the curse detector, Moringia. So like the curse detector is the one who tells you have a curse or you're bewitched, and then from there you go to the witch doctor, and then from there you come back now to the curse detector to tell you that if you have been healed or not. And I have actually been researching on the herbs, and I've been making a lot of progress, though the challenge is that what happened is according to the book, it's actually free. You can check it online. It's called When We Began, There Were Witchmen by a certain American called Jeffrey. It's free online. So the thing is, the British, they couldn't convince the Merus to join Christianity because people are very skeptical. So what happened is they turned against, the witch. People are afraid of witchcraft and curses from their ancestors. So what happened is they did have a plan to eliminate the witchcraft, and in so doing, they had to group the witch doctor and the witch together. And when they were eradicated through certain means which are oblivious to the public, and now the churches, like the Methodist Church, the Catholic Church, the Church of Scotland Mission, they were able to successfully gain converts. So there are gaps in the book, but maybe you can get a few insights from them. And there's another one called Supernatural Practices Among the Meru People. So it's another book from 1977. So the guy from when we began the Witchmen, the first book I've talked about, actually did interviews and oral interviews, and they're all in the University of Nairobi, but haven't gotten the chance to access those materials yet in the history department. And I also got the chance to witness an unwitching, in quotes, witch doctor session by some Digo practitioners. And I could get some similarities between the two, where if you look at the book, When Uganda Are Witchmen, and the other book, Supernatural Practice Among the Meru People, they have a sort of like a cutting ritual, where it's like through the process, they bring the thing that is disturbing you or something into your mind, and then they have they cut, or they have a breakage sort of ritual. Let's say in the Merus, they were cutting like the intestines of, let's say, a goat or something, and then with the Digos, it was breaking of a coconut. So that's what I've been able to understand to date. But I do, according to my opinion, I believe the best way we can go back, or we can embrace African spirituality, we need to go Eastern first, or the so-called Eastern spirituality. We need to go to Eastern spirituality and understand the four elements, fire, water, air, earth, as well as the fifth element, ether or space. And then from there, if we understand the five elements, we can now go back to our cultures and try and understand why, let's say, this stone was used, why this ash was used, why this plant was used, or because plants allegedly they have also the elements and zodiacs. So if at all we have to make this initiative a success, we need to embrace Eastern spirituality. Yeah, I'm saying Eastern spirituality, but the whole also concept of Eastern is also very vague, and it's very, very collective. But yes, I'm talking about things like Kundalini energy, as well as aspects of Judaism and Jewish cultures, and the whole Jewish spirituality thing. And then from there, now we can go back to, let's say, we can try and see how they related with African spirituality, because we are a uniform design which has manifested itself all over the world. But at the same time, I'm not really a fan of using the word African, because I feel like the whole unity is an illusion, which is created by the colonialism, which sort of like unified the African under one single entity. In real sense, we are very diverse people, but the fact that we are, the colonization happened within a few hundred years, so we was called like African spirituality, but in real sense, we are very diverse. But anyway, that's just my opinion, and I believe if you have to go back to our cultures, we need to embrace the Eastern spirituality first, understand the elements, and then now understand African spirituality.
Thank you. And you guys read the book and tell us what you think. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Mokami. Is it working? Yes? Okay, good. I can't tell. My name is Mokami. My question 5 people ago was, what's the difference between, well, she explained the difference between witchcraft and, I'm sorry, she defined what witchcraft is, and I'm grateful for that. My question was, actually, with regard to this name, this word witchcraft, yeah? So what's the difference between witchcraft and shamanism, right? Because from my experiences, my personal experiences, I have learned that yes, there is, I don't know, I feel like witchcraft is a bit ambiguous in terms of the fact that everybody who practices some occult, anything occult is just labeled witch, right? But in truth, there are medicine people, there are shamans, there are healers, there are diviners, and most of the times, divination actually comes under shamanism and witchcraft and all of these things. So even divination is just a separate thing to me. That's a bit odd, because every shaman, every, I guess, witch, every person that I have met who dabbles in the occult does divination. So yeah, my question was, what's the difference, I guess, then between a witch, in the sense that you're using it, and a shaman? My second question would be, yes, my second question would be, oh yes, and sorcerers, yes. Sorcerers, I guess, are the bad witches, the ones who do the bad things. Yeah, so I guess we have that down. there's somebody who asked a question that I haven't had anybody respond to when he asked whether if we actually get into the scientific aspect of the witchcraft, it will lose some of its power. My personal belief is that yes, it might, because most of it is actually pegged on belief, right? And because our beliefs create our realities. So if somebody actually doesn't believe in something, then, you know, it kind of does reduce its influence and its power on the person. That's why whenever you go to visit a witch doctor or a shaman, you know, they will never exactly tell you what these potions they're giving you are made of, because part of it is to actually get your belief invested in it. So they will never tell you what these potions are made of. The second thing is they will be concocted in secret. It's very rare to actually find a witch doctor who's actually just doing his thing, like, oh, you know, this feather and then this crocodile tooth and then this, you know, it's very, very rare to find them actually doing that, because part of it is that they want you to be, they want to keep that mystery, because that mystery is what actually anchors your belief in whatever it is that they're doing. So I personally believe that yes, if we do actually get into like this, you know, the scientific mumbo jumbo, it might actually take away some of the power from it. Yeah, and that's just about it. I would like to know your definition of shamanism, because I am actually an initiated shaman, and I use that word because I don't use the word witchcraft because, again, of the demonization of it. So yeah, what is shamanism and what space does it have in African spirituality? Yeah, and how can we move forth from there? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Ndirito from Karakana Initiative, and thank you for that. I just thought of, because we are in the definition stage, just before we proceed, there's somebody with the mic there, the definition of what she has asked. If there is somebody in the audience who feels adequately endowed with the knowledge of what she has asked and maybe wants to break it down a little bit, shamanism and what she asked, is there someone? You want one there? You want to do it? Okay, let's have you, and then she's gonna go. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Mokasa. Shamanism are people who deal with nature spirits, from plants to, let's say, what exists into nature. So they're not like witch doctors. Again, shamanism, they are using what we call this spiritual aspect of, they go deep into the mysticism of spirituality, you see. So you're not going to refer to shamanism as witchcraft. This is something so deep. You have to go deep to understand things of nature. Those are the shamans. And also in Africa, we have shamans, like in the Congo, shamans are there. If they wanted to invoke rain, they would drum. There's a way they would drum and then the rain would come, you see. So shamans are there in Africa. But we have not taken much interest in shamanism in Africa. We are looking at the aspect of witchcraft. That's where all our knowledge is focused. Others, they're also shamans in Africa. You see, African spirituality is so diverse. We have so many powerful people in Africa we are not told of. But when we talk about that power, it brings us back again to witchcraft. And we say that one is not something good. They are going out of Christianity, you see, because we believe what came from the West is the best. Yeah. But we are forgetting also, in Africa, before these people came, these things were there, you see. For example, one person said when the white man came, he says he discovered the source of the Nile. But the source of the Nile was there in time immemorial. How do you say you discovered something which was there? You see? Yeah, so we have been put in a way that all this spirituality we have has become darkened. It is not something part of... It's okay, it is fortunate that the new generation, the young generation that is coming up, are trying to open up what we old generation, we are taught that these things don't tamper. The moment you tamper with these things, no one wanted to be your friend. They said you never see the kingdom of heaven. You see, yeah, those are things you're told, and you fall back. You believe Jesus was the best. I believe in Jesus, but I believe in an occultic Jesus, not the Jesus the Christians believe in. Because all these things, the African science from the time of Kemet, Egypt, this was all wisdom. But when the white man came, he said, hey, man, this is some, let's just tell them it is witchcraft. Let them leave it. But today again, they are coming back to the same place to do more research. Why are they coming back? Because they know there's power there. You get me? So shamanism was there a long time. We had shamans in Africa. They knew about the sun. They knew about the animals, how to even speak with animals, which animal had good luck. All these things were there. But it was framed into witchcraft. So you don't know who a shaman and a person doing witchcraft is, or a diviner. Yeah.
Okay.
But all these people had their specifics they're doing. So shamanism is a very good aspect, but you have to be patient to learn it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to, from my perspective, explain my own view about these words, because I think these words are good. They can get you either moving forward, or they can make you just stay going round and round. But you know, shamanism is really also referring to working with spirit, yeah? Working with the spirit world. We have two realms. We have the spirit realm, and then we have the physical realm. And the spirit realm, the spiritual realm, is where many people will use the word energy, or they'll use the word consciousness, or they'll use the word vibration or frequency, okay? And there are people, and so you can either, you know, people who are healers, witches, whatever, all these words, they're all people who are working in the spiritual realm. And then there are others who work with the physical realm, and some of that crosses over, like a herbalist can also work with the plant, but also with the spirit of the plant, both. So I think all these words are talking about different traditions of the same thing. So you can call yourself a shaman if you can also call yourself a witch. You can, it doesn't matter anymore, you know. To me, these are either if you're working with the spiritual, then that's the practice that you're using. That's what I want to share.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Allow me to just interject a little bit.
Yes.
Like I said before, my name is Derito, and you've seen me walk around. I'm curious because, okay, I'm not trying to be poetic. I'm curious because I'm the one who curated this event, even the bigger festival. And allow me to give some direction. I think the context we are looking at is the African context, right? It doesn't hurt if we go outside and you explain, to draw parallels to what happens in Asia, the Meditation, Far East, all of that, even in Europe, even in Latin America. But the context of our discussion, I think, is African, as diverse as we come, isn't it?
True.
Number two, I think we have agreed that we kind of dropped the word witch doctor. And we can, may I suggest that as we go on with the discussion, you can be specific if you want to, medicine man, medicine woman, seer, I don't know what they call the prophets. Were the prophet the seers in African context? The diviners, the healers. So feel free to drop the word witchcraft. We got your attention, thanks. Okay. So you can use the word that you feel. And I believe that let the discussion be edifying to those of us who cannot draw the lines between those names and help us even to understand better, like the way she's introduced the shamans and all that. I remember in the last exhibition we did, there was one piece that was called the shaman. If you go and check on our social media on Karakana Online, you'll see a photograph of a mysterious face with a smoking hand by one of the artists we featured a lot called Sogalo, and the title of that image is Shaman. So I just wanted Henry to just give a little bit of direction so that please don't feel boxed. Hapo kwa uchawi, ama kwa mganga, you know. And I also know there will be other connotations that sometimes are used in our common language, but that was not the original meaning. So I think we can continue. There was a gentleman here and then that side. Okay. Henry, you can continue here.
Thank you very much. My name is Philip Alinyo. I come from both Uganda and Kenya. I'm old enough, more than you, 65 years. You will allow me to comment on what has been discussed here. We are here to learn. We are here to find the right path. And that's why I was invited and came. I have been a spiritual researcher for over 40 years. And the best spirituality that I have ever found is based on the African roots, not from the Western and other places. Though the director has mentioned that we leave the word witches out, a young lady, asked a question, but it was not answered. She was questioning about how she can know the good witchcraft. I believe from my African culture, a good witchcraft is the one that heals, is the one that protects, not the one that kills. So the one that heals and the one that protects is the good witchcraft. It encounters that killing witchcraft. So I can give a number of examples that happen in our rural areas. And if you take a person that has been witched to the hospital and is injected, she dies immediately. Therefore, there is a good witchcraft that can heal to encounter the bad one. Are we together? As I said, I have been a researcher. To me, my forefather speaks to me many, many times while I'm in problems, while I'm going through very difficult situations. Even my father who died comes to me and talks to me. That is another way of spirituality, and he gives me direction, how to come out of that problems. Let me tell you one thing. Many of you were not born. What I want to say, it happened while many of you were not born. 1975 and 1976, 1977 in Uganda, that's the time of Amin Dada. We could not get salt in Uganda. All the factories were broken down. The Asians were chased away. We could not get soap to take bath with, to wash with. We lacked so many important things in life. And we could carry coffee, goat skins, cow skins to bring in Kenya to sell. By that time I was in class 6. So while we sell in Kenya here, then we can buy soap, we can buy sugar, we can buy toothpaste, then we go back to Uganda. I remember, and so many people were killed while trafficking those things, bringing to Kenya, by the military. I remember we were being chased by the military people. And because I was still young by age, and I had the older people that were leading the way, about 12 people we were hid in the bush for the security men to pass because they were following us. Then we thought they had passed, but they had just gone ahead and stood. We didn't know. Then we rose up and started walking. So the time we were hid, a drop of a sleep came and took me. I saw my grandfather, whom I knew. And he told me, "You are not going to die, I'm protecting you." And as we rose there to start going, the soldier saw me. The soldier saw us. Alinilenga marisasi saba, 7 bullets shooting at me, and they went aside. Who was protecting me? My forefathers. Because he had already spoken to me in a dream while I was in a little sleep that you are not going to die. What am I trying to say? African culture, African spirituality is very strong. We are brainwashed, thinking that whatever comes from the West, that's what is good. 2012, I was sent by the Catholic Bishop here to Tanzania to go and write a project report. In Arusha, I slept with the father in his house. He gave me a story that the Jesus they believe in is a black man. I could not understand. In brief, because others have also to speak, I have been a researcher trying to follow different paths for my personal guidance and foresight to understand the right path. I have searched so many religions, and eventually at the 65 age, I have come back to my culture.
Thank you.
Culture.
Thank you very much. Makofi kwa mzee. There was a gentleman here that wanted to speak. He almost wants to slap me because of denying him the microphone, but the topic is very wide, so you guys will bear with us. Introduce yourself, kindly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kariuki Wabege, and I'm a writer. I write in Gikuyu, so you might hear a lot of Gikuyu as I speak here.
Do you usually use a translator?
Yeah?
Do you usually have a translator working with you?
No, if I need one, I have Sharabu here.
Okay, okay, thanks.
I think we have a linguistic problem, especially of the word witchcraft. Somehow, when I heard it first, when I came here, my brother from Kitui, when you say we have good and bad witchcraft, well, I feel that we must let the good and the bad coexist, because we had a functional system that had checks and balances. Having said that, I wanted to address Mukami directly. She had asked a question on shamanism. Should we agree that we need to maybe, I don't know, maybe localize a bit, go back home? Because that is where we start. We start with our linguistics, with the language that we speak. Probably Mukami doesn't know. He's asking for a shaman. Maybe we have a Kikuyu name for the same. Kirohori, Mukami. Kirohori is the perfect translation of a shaman. Someone talked about, I heard it here the first time, that a witch is a very wise person. I don't know if you know that in Kikuyu, Muhudumogo refers to the wisest, the most wise among all. The same thing we are calling witchcraft. It makes no sense when we say that this is the most wise person, but there is some good wisdom and some other bad wisdom. The real thing is how do we apply the checks and balances? Most of your parents, maybe you have bad children and good children, isn't it? don't you? We have some good children, some bad children. So my proposition is, can we solve the linguistic problem? Can we localize? Can we literally go back home? And I'm saying that to experience. My elder brother said that he has been a researcher. I've been a researcher and a writer in Gikuyu since 2015. Maybe not as long as him. One thing that can take you there, especially, I don't know about other communities, that's why I said maybe we can localize a bit. Your name can take you there. Coincidentally, I came with a friend here. We are talking about witchcraft. His name is Sharago. Sharago is coming from Kirago. Kirago is Muragori. Muragori is a witch you're talking about. Thank you.
Very interesting propositions. You remember the point. Do not forget that, but you had something to say? Yeah? No, you did not. Okay, let's go back to Muragori, you said?
Thank you.
Do not leave yet. We have another session
Good evening.
after the panel discussion. Okay.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Kimani Sharago. That is what he's trying to extend with all the other small names about me. And today I'm very awed to be in the midst of witches and witch doctors and shamans and all sorts of eerie things seated around me. Asante sana. I just want to make 3 points very shortly. The gentleman who was sitting there, I think he's gone, who told us to go east. Here, I believe we don't go east, we don't go west, we don't go north or south. Where we are, we just need to dig deep. Dig deep, deep, deep. There's nothing we are going to learn about fire or a Gikuyu person, a Gikuyu modomogo or elder or to be taught by anybody about fire. Enda usome juu ya fire or the earth. Earth. Hiyo mchanga hiyo. Nobody is going to teach a Gikuyu person about the earth. The other one was what? Water, wind, all those. Go deep, 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 deep. Before you get everything there, you will have dismantled all those Kemet and what came from Egypt and what destroyed.
Thank you for the summary.
Just one.
Okay,
just one
okay,
more.
okay.
Aching, where is Aching? She was asking a question. How do you? Yes, yes. You will not be allowed to integrate this. You will not be allowed to integrate this. We will talk here, but where we practice, government and religion will not allow us to practice this. On 8th of November, of October, this month, Professor Kidiki stood in a church in Kiambu and demonized a congregation of Ago. Do you know Ago? Yes. Ago is, they're not witch doctors. They're not diviners. They are all those. They are healers, they are diviners, and everything else practiced. That is a congregation of people who follow their Gikuyu spirituality. And I'm talking about Gikuyu spirituality. and worship the way we used to. And they're teaching their children. And when church sees children dancing and singing in Gikoyo, those old songs, and very deep things, it gets very worried. They get very, very, very worried because the future is kind of going and gone forever. And also let me say, I've just talked about Koyo spirituality. We enjoy it, we feel comfortable and some warmth when we talk about African spirituality. What is that? What is African spirituality? I'll give you a very simple example. Look at this dam here. Is it 1 square inch? Less than a square inch, right? This less than square inch, none of us has got the same. None of the 50 million in Kenya have got the same. None of the billions in the world have the same. This year, last year, time eternity. And God will not be able, will not get out of permutations to create. That is why what goes for a Luo will not go for a Kikuyu. What will, yes, that is what happens.
Thank you.
Please.
Okay.
I know you are pressed for time, but
Go on,
I will
go
not,
on,
I
go
will
on.
not pull it. I will not pull it too much, stretch it too much. But we have some overarching Africanness about us that's different from the other. That is what we may call African spirituality. But what makes me tick doesn't make a Kamba or a Pokomo tick. Correct? Let's get this very clear. We could talk the whole day, but we don't have too much. Thank you very much. But look for what Professor Kidiki did and the County Commissioner is doing in Kiambu, and I will be talking about it in other fora.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder that after the panel discussion, we'll be having another session at the Wasanii Corner. There'll be performances. Saxophonists will be performing. There are free snacks. The soft drinks are free. Those who indulge in, hard stuff, you have to dig in your pocket kidogo, but there's refreshments at the Wasanii Corner after this. Yeah. Go.
My name is Dan, and I have a few questions. Yeah, and I'm speaking from a point of ignorance. Yeah, so my first question is to all of you here, and something I've inferred from what most of you have shared, it's that what you are opposed to is this power game that is going on, where we have...
Could you kindly stand up, Dan? We want to see you. There are people watching online at Karakana Online TV as well. You guys can follow Karakana on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Which other one have I forgotten? The new one that you guys don't use, Threads, and X, and X, yeah. Go on.
Okay, so my question was about, what I have inferred from what most of you have shared, it's that you are against this power game, where we have a certain group of people, two groups. We have scientists who have sort of generated some knowledge, and we also have religious groups which lay claim to some knowledge, and they want to sort of impose that. And now you have you people. And it happens that these people wield power in a way, and maybe I wanted now to divert your attention from that to focus on this other aspect of the epistemic status of your beliefs, and also how, and the utility of your practices. Because I am of the view, and correct me if you see any deficiencies in how I'm understanding the world. Yeah, I understand. My view is that one of these groups, science, and I'm not, science plus philosophy, let me put them in one group. So these two fields have advanced to a point where they have been able to understand how the universe works. They have been able to describe the world in, I would say, in a more profound way than these African spiritualists. That is my understanding. And my reason for saying so is that we have evidence for this, because these people, they are all these different fields of science, and these fields have made progress. They have branched off from philosophy, and they have become established fields which can sufficiently explain how the world works. And so we have now you people and those people who are not here, who happen to share some beliefs and who happen to have certain ideals that you possess knowledge that can help you achieve these ends. And one of these ends is to help people, more so Africans. And now my question is this. Those people who claim to be African spiritualists, are they doing what they are doing from a point of arrogance, in the sense that they just describe now this scientific enterprise and philosophy as Western and try to sort of come up, try to understand the world and maybe achieve this end? Or have they grounded themselves first in the knowledge that humanity has accumulated thus far? And then from that point, they say that there are certain deficiencies in what we currently know. And we as African spiritualists, there is a certain new understanding that we are availing. So,
okay, I get your question, and I beg to correct you first of all, because you're referring to the audience as you people and grouping them as one. I want to, I'll give you permission to talk, but I want to let you know categorically there are believers in the audience. There are scientists, there are philosophers, there are religious people, there are African spiritualists. So you're not doing us justice.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So now my second question, okay, it's an extension of the first question that I have posed, and it's more to do with how do you sort of shift that attention, because this is not the first discussion. I think this is the second discussion I'm engaging in, and I'm ignorant about these matters. But some of the things I heard them from the first discussion, and all pertained this power game of knowledge, but there was no focus in the epistemic status of these beliefs or practices. So how do you address that point of view? Because from a Western point of view, someone will say to you that, hey, some of these questions you are trying to wrestle with, these are non-issues now. So how do you address that? And are we not wasting time, if I may, are we not wasting time trying to generate new knowledge which has already been generated by other people, and we blind ourselves by saying that it's just a power game? And I'm not discounting the fact that exists, because people like Foucault.
Now, what you're trying to say in so many words is this discussion relevant in modern times when we have philosophy and science? So let someone answer him if it's relevant to have this conversation.
Okay, thank you so much. Firstly, I would like to say this. The challenge that has come with this power game is this. And actually, it reminded me of a paragraph in my article that I said. You remember what Kinjekitile Ngwale did with Majimaji Rebellion? You remember that?
Yeah, we do.
Additionally, there are perceptions about some spiritualities that they are not sustainable, that they are impractical. You've heard of questions which ask, how is this witch doctor going to make me rich and herself or himself is poor? So there's been a lot of challenges which have been posed to some indigenous cultural practices. And that has created a loophole, a great loophole, because if Kinjekitile Ngwale killed his entire army because of beliefs. This, I think, from social point of view, we cannot bury our heads under the sand, like the proverbial ostrich, that colonialism and society did not change who we are. Actually, some people, some of us today, are so intoxicated that we cannot even see visions. Our ancestors cannot even visit us. We are so modern and we know nothing about where we have come from. The point where science, practical science, is gaining momentum is because it has created a visible path of doing things. And this is the thing. Going to be treated traditionally is not as convenient as going to a hospital. From my own view, we all agreed that Africa is very diverse, even everyone is very diverse. In my own view, the convenience of taking 1.3 medicine is not the same as the strict regulations, sometimes which have turned south to people. You are told, for example, I had a case of a celebrity saying that when she was coming to Nairobi, her mother told her to carry urine from their village to town, to Nairobi to look for work. You're told to carry urine. Yeah? Sometimes when you miss some of the regulations you're given in witchcraft, you may turn mad irreversibly. It happens from my own view and observation. So there's been a lot of battle, and some of the battle has been seen. For example, you're told you may get these powers now, you become rich, but after some time, those powers start consuming you, they start consuming your children. So there's been a lot of loopholes of sustainability in this. So my view about today, is this conversation relevant today? It is, in this way. But we should find a way. For example, circumcision, the traditional circumcision, where people used to be circumcised using one knife, 50 boys, okay? Really, even if you want to conserve African culture and everything, can you accept your child to be circumcised with the same knife where 50 people have been circumcised? You can't accept that. So we need to be, at some point, greatly, very logical with the practices, but thank you very much, with the practice that we are adopting, so that, because in the whole essence, I will respond to you in this way. The purpose why we are existing should not be to experiment humanity. We should exist for the good of humanity. And this aspect of experimenting has even happened where someone, for example, if you've been given witchcraft just instantly by your grandmother, you start trying if it can kill somebody. And people end up killing their relatives. Yes. You want to try to see if it works, and it works actually, it kills your relative. Another thing I've also written in my article is that the fear and the test for people who can kill and harm was not brought by colonialists. Traditionally, we hated people who do not like us progress. For example, Africans did not want people who can bewitch them and ruin their life. That was not brought by colonialists. That is innate, and we live with it. We don't like it. Nobody likes somebody doing something bad to him. Nobody. So we need to be very realistic in what we are adopting from African culture. Let us not carry on very dangerous practices to the best of the knowledge that we have. We now have been equipped with knowledge to know what is dangerous and what is safe for us.
Mwema, now I have a question.
Yes.
We've already agreed there's bad aspects, there's good aspects of African culture, yeah?
Yeah.
We've already agreed no one wants to progress the bad one, yeah?
Yeah.
Then what are we talking about, right? We've already said the good one, if it's possible, let's embrace it. So all this going about Kinjekitile and Ngwale, I can talk all day about Mackenzie and other cults in the Christian religions and in the Islam religion, radicalization, Al-Shabaab.
Yeah.
It exists in every belief system, every society. So let's not demonize the African one alone and say, these Africans are the only ones that are bewitching people. You get my point?
I get your point.
Nice, bring the mic, thank you.
I get your point. And
Thank you.
that is it. That is it.
You get the point. You get the point. Sit down.
Hi guys. So I just wanted to also just wanted to add on. I'm also still a student of this African spirituality and all, and I also want to appreciate what he said. We are here because we have questions. Something has not worked. There's a belief that we've believed in that we are realizing is not working, or some of us are curious. There has to be more to what we've been told, and that is the starting point. Question everything. You need to question our belief system. Where did it start? Why is it that I must follow a certain path? Can I forge my own path? What he said is also very true. We've embraced different cultures to the point that our own ancestors cannot relate with us. Our own ancestors cannot communicate with us because we've embraced a very different culture. We've gone away, we've meandered away from the way they used to practice. And the way I've understood God up to this far, and I'm open to correction, is that God is a God of hierarchy. The way they believed and the way they practiced, if they were supposed to sacrifice 10 gods because something died or because they were asking for rain, and we come here and start doing different practices, then you confuse God. You're coming from a certain lineage and you're starting to do different practices. So I feel like this is a very good forum for us. And yes, this is very relatable to where we are heading as Africans. It is very relatable. We really need to question everything. We need to go back to our roots. We need to understand what practices our ancestors were doing. And even if they bring other religions to us, why are they giving us other religions? Did we not have our own religions? Did we not have our own belief systems? Did we not have our own spirituality? And it is true. It is true. Once you connect with the other side and you follow the lineage, there are bad things. Even in Christianity, there is bad things that happen. So you have to be, if you connect, and the way he said that there are things that you can do, maybe you can go mad, and it is irreversible. I do not agree, and I do not believe in that. I'm sorry. It is irreversible. There are elders, there are people who have practiced, who have been in this for so long, who have these wisdoms and knowledges, and they're able to reverse some calamities. There's nothing that is set on stone. That's what I believe in. And what else did I want to say? I wanted to talk about, are we just Christians, or are we people who have mastered the European culture and we are practicing it so perfectly? That's
nice, interesting. I will answer that while taking my chai, which is a very traditional European drink. So,
hi everyone. My name is Wanjiko from Kiambu, specifically Kiamba. I am a new student in the Agikuyu spirituality. And I'd like to first thank you for acknowledging your questions are from a point of ignorance. So, yeah, but one thing that I'd like to address, what he said was things to do with, like, we are here to acquire new knowledge. Just to correct you, this is not new knowledge. And that's exactly what Dr. I think it's Wangari just said, that this is existing knowledge. You just need to look within. And I think Sal over here put it very well. We need to go deep into our roots. And I'll give an example. One thing that one of my speakers was saying, so he was trying to esoterically define DNA, where DNA is more of you do not forget. Let me give an example. Let me try and simplify it. You have a maize seed, right? You plant it on the ground. What you'll get is a maize plant. You won't get a bean plant. You won't get anything else. You'll get a maize plant. That means that maize did not forget who it is. Same way when it comes to us as human beings, we do not, or for me, example, me as a Kikuyu, from generation to generation to generation, I will not forget who I am because my DNA does not forget. So the same way, you might read books, you might explore different religions, but you still have to look within. You need to connect with your ancestors. So that was one of the points. The other thing was, Dr. Wangari also touched something really interesting to do with mental illness. And generally, she gave an example of where, in her practice, she'd traditionally be told, give medicine, do this, but ideally should tell, like, go talk to your ancestor and stuff like that. So this was quite interesting because it's something that I was reading the other day. So there was this American guy, he had a mental illness, and he went to the West. So, he went to West Africa. And like when you're in America, you're given antidepressants and anxiety pills and things like that. But in West Africa, I can't remember the exact country, but he was taught how to embrace, because in African spirituality, we believe in spirits. In Kikuyu, we call it Goma. So you're taught to embrace the spirits. And just in very many words, what I'm trying to say is we really need to go deep within ourselves before we want to explore any other thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are winding up our discussion. The last two people. Then we give Steve the closing remarks because we can talk on and on. This is a very sensitive topic. Everyone has like a very deep connection to the subject, and I mean, if it was like my wish, we would do this all night, but we said 6 to 8, so we gotta keep that. Tusikue na African time sana, tukue na African spirituality. Go on.
Good evening, everyone. This has been a very interesting conversation. I'm glad I came, even if I was very sleepy. What I've come to realize, and I think this is directed especially to him, and I like the fact that he said his questions come from a place of ignorance, which is a good thing, because when you acknowledge that you're ignorant, you're saying there is room for you to learn, and also you're open to new ideas. The thing about why we're having this conversation, I think the reason why a lot of people are interested in this kind of conversation is because spirituality is very personal. And I think for most people, and I think a lot of people here would agree, is that you get to a place at a personal level where you hunger for something, and especially when you come to a place where you have an awakening. There's something that switches in your head that you start to question everything you've ever believed, and it takes you through this whole spiritual journey where you start to unlearn what you have always known, and you start to seek truth. And it will come, trust you me, it will come, and you will recall this conversation and you will say, yeah, that is why they were having that weird conversation. But it will come, you wait. The thing, I wanted to really appreciate the work that has gone and what you guys have done, what you've put together, the documentary, etc., and what the professor has done. My question is, while you are doing this, have you collected, like you have a library or an archive of where you're storing this information? For our sake, let me finish. For our sake and for the sake of those who would find themselves in this journey, because I'm thinking, even if like our elder here has said, a lot of people will be opposed to us learning this. It's not new knowledge, it is who we are. And the moment we know who we are empowered, and the shackles will begin to fall off. And a lot of people will have a problem with that. So I would want to know, is there a way we can share these resources? Is there a way we can share this knowledge? How can we keep this fire burning so that also it does not go away? There's so many things I'm hungry for, to know who I am, to know my roots, to know my lineage. I can tell you, as an example, when I was a Christian, I used to believe that the giftings I have are because I am a Christian, so I would look for Christian answers. And when I came to a place where I stopped, that journey began, and I stopped believing those things, it has been very empowering. and I'm able to connect with the source, and I'm able to understand a lot of the things that I see in my dreams, in my visions, how I read energy, how I'm able to foresee and foretell things that I do. I used to think, call it prophecy in the Christian angle. But now, as an African, I believe that there's something in my DNA, in my lineage, in my African lineage, that empowers this gifting. And for everybody, if you have dreams or visions, or there are things that you think are weird about you, try and figure out what that is, because it's something that we lost when we lost our culture and our tradition. And I think it is time we start asking these questions so that we can find the answers, so that we know who we really are. And we are finally free. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One last comment, observation, and then we give Steve the closing remarks.
Hi guys. So I think from this discussion, there are some keywords that have been going around here. So one of them is knowledge. The other one is belief. So from everything, I think I can sum up. If you have the knowledge about what you're looking for, that's when you'll find what you believe in. For example, let's say I just came here one day, came and killed this guy, like in front of everyone. Sorry for using you as an example here. Most of you will say, I did a bad thing, right? I mean, why would I just come and kill this one person out of a room filled with, I don't know, 50 plus guys here? But now, do you know the reason behind it? No, I have a personal vendetta, right? Maybe in my past or before today, he killed my younger sister. I have a grievance with him. So personally, I'd say that's a good thing, because I'm
Revenging, yeah.
Exactly. So personally, I'd say that's a good thing. But you agree that's a bad thing. Same case with between African heritage and the way our fellow right there said, mentioned about scientists, right? Scientists believe in one thing because they do the research, they find the proof, then they believe in that. Same case to those who believe in African heritage. May it be people from the Western region, Mount Kenya region, different people, different localities have their beliefs, right? And they have reasons to back it up. The Kikuyus believe in whenever you want to, let's say, party or all that, you'd sacrifice a goat. But if it's a special occasion, maybe you want to commemorate someone or do this, something like special to your home, or you want to bless your place, the Kikuyus will use a condom, right? Same case when you come to, let's say, the Luo land, they may have a different tradition, right? Now, they are not wrong to do things the way they do, but now that's what they believe in, because that's how they've been brought up, and that's their tradition. Same case to the Gikuyu. So I think it all comes down to knowledge about something. Then if you want to believe in it, well and good. If you don't, continue researching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that was a good summary. I just recently started storytelling myself. My name is Henry Mwangangi. I'm a voiceover artist. I do adverts, by the way. You can earn 2,000 shillings every day from Faras. If you have the Faras ad, that's me. So you guys can follow me. African Nostalgia is the place where we are telling the stories. You can check our YouTube channel. The documentary is up there. And thank you guys for coming. I'm very happy. Shukran.
We have a podcast on our Karakana with him and his team. And he says even those guys who say Dawa Amenda, it's voiceover artist, you know. So lakini hakufanya hiyo. Great. As much as I look very composed, I'm extremely happy. For me, having this room, quote unquote, full, is a good ending to Kesho Africa and a good start We have just started. So allow me to say a number of things, and I'll try. But then kuna mtu amefeel tumemfungia. Kuna mtu anafeel nikitoka hapa kama sijaongea nitafeel vibaya. Lazima ukuje hapa mbele, kuja. No, the lady there, just two people. 1 minute each, 60 seconds. I hope your communication teacher did their bit. Just say what you need to say. Because I really want us to go to the other side and interact, exchange numbers. Unaweza pata pia bibi na bwana hapo. 60 seconds.
Hi, my name is Mason, and I think on the question you asked about scientists and philosophies, there's something I normally say that in religion, if religion and science can work hand in hand, why can't African spirituality and science work hand in hand? Because if it weren't for the Africans, the herbals that are being used in hospitals right now wouldn't have been discovered. So it's as simple as that, that if African spirituality discovered the herbs, then the scientists used the knowledge that they discovered from African spirituality to create medicine.
Okay, great. Don't drop the mic, please. Okay. Yeah.
Good evening. So my name is Chepchumba. I had a summary and a comment about our colleague. So I wanted to highlight how post-colonialism, the African culture, the African spirituality, we never had to progress. Now we can't compare the dynamics of the world are changing over time. Science is advancing. Christianity is advancing. Christianity also is a system. We have to, I am kind of anxious and very nervous. I hope it is not showing. Yeah. So Christianity is a system. The same way science is also a system. Philosophy is a system. African spirituality is a system because it has order, stages, and whatever happened to African spirituality, we got dormant post-colonialism. So we experienced a disconnect. We are actually experiencing a disconnect between spirituality then and spirituality now. So for us to go back to spirituality, we know spirituality is a dynamic, it changes, the world is changing. New experiences. There's someone who highlighted how in the past we could use one knife, circumcision, 50 people. What we forgot is that the world is changing. Diseases came up because of lifestyle. So also, I think we have to find a way, I don't know how, to correct the disconnect we experienced after colonialism. After that, when we bridge that gap, is when we can now link African spirituality. We still have African spirituality, but after we bridge the disconnect is when we will now have African spirituality fully. Thank you.
Hello, how are you? You're doing okay, all of you? Anyone that is not okay? I think mine is going to be very brief. There's a phrase that we used to, this guy is my friend, so when we were in school together, there's a phrase that we used to use, and we used to say that brevity is the soul of wit. So the more brief you are, the more you appear to be wise. Or so. All right, so mine is going to be very brief. So I just want to, I don't know who was speaking about believing and knowing. And then he said that when you know, you have to know first so that when it gets into you, now you start believing. And I just wish to discount that in this way. Knowing and believing, I believe, are two very distinct things. If you ask me, my name is Kelvin. If you ask me whether I know my name is Kelvin, what is happening to the mic? No, it's not okay. All right, so I'm saying, if you ask me whether I know whether my name is Kelvin, or whether I believe my name is Kelvin, those are two very different questions that you're asking me. So if you know, you can't know and believe in the same thing. So if I believe I'm in Nairobi, okay, do I know that I'm in Nairobi or do I believe that I'm in Nairobi? I know I'm in Nairobi, right? So there is no way you can know something and at the same time you. So when we're talking about what as God,
You said you're brief.
and this, yeah. I'm actually closing, man. I'm actually closing that.
I don't believe you're brief.
So you can either believe that God exists or know that God exists. There's no two way about it. You either believe or you don't. Personally, I do neither of those two. I don't believe and I don't know. So I'm still looking for answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kabui. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Philosopher.
We shall revisit. Okay, fine. Thanks for those. So allow me very quickly. I have many things to say, and trust me, I'm going to be straight to the point. We did not have a sign-up form. Just for those who may not, my name is Nderito. I'm the team leader at Karakana, and this session is my most passionate session in the whole of the Kesho Africa thing. Believe it or not, I've been brought up in a Christian family. My dad is a pastor. I've been born again all my life, but I started to question. So I'm here, I'm also a student. In fact, I may have conceived the concept for this event. It does not mean that I know a lot, but I'm an artist and I'm a creative. And as an artist and a creative, we are the ones who carry the messages that carry culture and tradition and all these things. That's why when you go to PCS and Andrews, there is a choir that sings. That's why when you go to Deliverance Church Umoja, there's a person who plays drums. That's why back then there was somebody who was playing drums and things happen. The same way in the Bible, somebody could play the harp and some spirits would come down. And there was a girl who used to make money from being like a diviner or something in the New Testament. And still in the ancient times in Africa and other parts of the world, there are things like that that used to happen. They happen everywhere, isn't it? So, I have 7 quick points. Number 1, because we did not take your contacts, please take down my email address. It's nderito@karakanaonline.org. And our website is karakanaonline.org. Karakana means workshop in Swahili. Karakana Online. In the event, because I believe we have started, as Karakana, I am ready, we are ready to have regular meetups, exchange information. There's a question that was asked there. We will help you curate whatever knowledge you have, okay? And I mean it. We are here. The reason why we are recording is because there will be 10, 100, 1,000, 100,000 other people who will hear everything that you have said. Si hiyo ni injili inaendelea, lakini injili ya continent of Africa, okay? The context that we're talking about. So, if you have anything that you would want to share and partner with us, you have that email, that's my email address. I'll ensure that it happens. Kesho Africa is not a festival. It's a movement. It's a movement, and we are anchored on 4 things. African heroines and heroes, African spirituality, African culture and history, and then Afrofuturism. Because Karakana is about art and creativity. And art and creativity is at the heart of cultural expression everywhere in the world. So we would like to partner with you. Number 2, I want to mention something about indigenous knowledge, okay? When we are talking about science, one of the inadequacies of indigenous knowledge is documentation. And I will say it again, if you are in that space, as Kesho Africa, as Karakana Initiative, we are here and we can support you, document, amplify, package it, and disseminate it. Okay? So drop me an email, and we see how we can do that. Karakana Initiative, Karakana Online, we are a knowledge sharing platform. If you go to our website, that's at the heart of it. Knowledge sharing. Even the big book that we have believed along says people perish because of lack of knowledge. Like it or hate it, that book has a lot of truth in it. So we want what you know, what that person knows, let's exchange, and it will edify, it will grow somebody else. So I want us to have a next discussion, maybe in a month or two. Aki guys don't leave and the way we want to interact. Lakini pengine uko na kitu ya mbio is okay, you can go. But the rest of you, by the way, mwingine akitoka nitakutupia mic. Our next discussion, I would want us to exchange ideas. So please hit me up on email. Let's talk and let's see how we can make this more regular, perhaps a different format. I don't know if you want us to have a fireside chat kind of thing, and we can do it outside there and have a real fireside chat, have drums, we've had guys with traditional instruments. I really, really love that. And I have seen people want different experiences. We've just had too much of that other stuff. Amaje, sindio. So next forum. We have free soft drinks on that side. We have some music. Septad, where is Septad? Amashaenda. Okay, he's already on that side. He's going to be playing his saxophone. We have drinks, Kenyan originals, some cocktails. They are on sale. Soda and other snacks are absolutely free. Please exchange numbers. Pengine kuna mtu umesikia ameangusha point mzito na unataka kumwambia, hey, by the way, I liked what you said. Then we go that side and we're going to have a good time. So if you have any views, please drop me an email and we will be glad to work together with you. I want to appreciate our moderator for the day, Henry. Let's give him a clap. I also want to appreciate all of you who took your time to come and attend this event. It's a Sunday evening after a long weekend, mahangi kesho. So we really appreciate that time. We appreciate Charles and your team from Kenya Cultural Center at the corner there with the sound, and Simi ako kwingine. Our team from the office, we have Newton here. Dixon amejificha hapo nyuma ya bana. We have Dan. We have Rogoro. Yeah, we have Eunice. But then tutayarishie nini ndio tukifika hapo tukue sawa. Then we have Mavo on the live stream pale. And I forgot to mention the guys who are following us online. Give me a minute so that I see if there's a question. If there is anybody with a question. What's the name of the channel where the documentary is? Somebody who's asking.
African Nostalgia, the history of our people.
Africa?
African Nostalgia,
yes.
slash.
The guys who are watching asking where the documentary is, you can watch it. It's on a channel called African Nostalgia, and there are several other videos. I can see that question. And those who are asking whether you can watch, I mean, it's a live stream. It's going to be on the channel. I think that was the only other question. Asanteni sana, and may God bless you. Bye-bye. Oh, the email address is Nderitu, Nderitu. You can also use info@nderitu, Nderitu, at karakanaonline.org. Our website is also Karakana Online. You can also send a message from the website directly. If you just say, get in touch. Nderitu at Karakana Online or info@Karakana Online. So we are going to Wasanii Corner. Ukitoka nje, turn left. I'm sure you're going to hear the music on that side. We have free soft drinks, a few njugu crisps, cocktails za gin hapo, mfuko tu kidogo so mbili, and you'll be having a good time. Thank you very much. Let's go.